Good evening from the future to the jordanjcucci from the past who needs a hand because jordanjcucci from the past has lost the intro to this video because of some kind of formatting issue, and reaching out to all of you from the present who are now watching, to Men with Emotion, a video about a man with emotion from a man on a mission. We are allowed as men to have these emotions. We should be using our emotional states to fuel the better, the stronger, the wiser, the objectively good in all of us. This man that I am speaking to, have spoken to in this video, is all of those things. And even he has problems showing emotion, and he shouldn't. He's a good man, and we need more men like him in this world. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy. Got to meet his daughter, going into kindergarten now. It's always strange to see the next generation growing up before your eyes, watching your friends have kids and seeing what they're doing and seeing how similar it is to what we were doing as kids. Got to see the lovely mermaid that she had drawn. Gorgeous piece of refrigerator artwork. I imagine that is where it's going promptly. Anyway, yeah, I used to share in a lot of escapism with him. We played a lot of video games together. It seemed we both took it seriously to enough of a degree, and I realized that he had kind of he had enjoyed playing those games with me on a different level than I initially had thought he did. And I was on a different level too, because I was taking it probably a little more seriously than he was. Like, we would be playing a stealth game, for example, where we'd have to sneak through an area undetected, and then he'd wind up throwing a bomb or a grenade, and it would just blow up, and everyone would get alerted to where we were, and I'd be like, dude, and like, he'd just laugh, he'd giggle or whatever, and I'm like, over there like frustrated, like whatever. And it's like I always thought that he was just, having fun on them the way that one is supposed to have fun with games, where I was taking them a little more seriously than I should have. And it had arisen this epiphany in me where, like, hey, maybe don't take things as seriously, maybe like play games to have fun. Like, remember video games, remember they're supposed to be fun, that's what they're there for, you're supposed to have fun playing them. Yeah, that but really what it was at the end of it all, as it turns out, after all these years of not knowing, I'd figured out, he had told me, that it was because he was nervous playing around me, because he knew that I had taken them seriously, and he was like, oh, you were always so natural at them, and I was like, naturally skilled, I guess. And I was like, oh, what? And he was like, yeah, man. He's like, you were naturally skilled at playing them, and I just kind of wanted to keep up with you, and I just wanted to, play a game with the buddy and stuff. And then he's like, it's like, sometimes I do that stuff by accident, you get frustrated, and I just see that was like a nervous laugh, and like, I was just, too thick-headed to realize it at the time. And I was like, shit. And here I am getting this epiphany, this, realizing how I could take something positive from this situation. Meanwhile, it was affecting you negatively, and I was making him anxious, which isn't a good feeling. Not at all. And I felt bad for that. I felt sorry for that. But he told me I didn't have to, so I suppose I won't. But I always liked him as a person, and I was never actually frustrated with him. I could never be frustrated with him. I have never ever once in the entire time knowing him ever seen him without a smile on his face, and in a good mood, with a good attitude, and he was always very kind and genuine with everybody around him. Yeah, always just a buddy, always a pal, always there for you, always, hey man, what's going on? That's kind of how I could describe that guy if I were to describe him to anybody, is, hey, what's up, man? That was just his attitude about everything. The world needs more people like him. I mean that. The world's a better place with him in it. I'm glad he's raising another one of him. But yeah, I wanted him to know that I had felt that about him, and then he kind of dropped a bomb on me afterward. And I think this was the most important part of our entire conversation, and really what I took from it was he had told me that when he had decided to get married, him and his wife, that there was a time when him and I joined an Xbox Live party together, and I think we were playing something. It may have been then, or I may have stopped by his place and went to talk with him and went to hang out with him. And he told me about himself, that he was getting married, and he was like, I told you I was getting married, and you told me that you were happy for me." And when he said this, he started choking up and welling up, and he almost cried when he said it. And he did that thing that all men do when they start to cry. He went and like you stifle it. You find we have our ways of stifling it. That shit. And he had told me that no one else had told him that they were happy for him when he had dropped this information for his other friends and stuff. That everyone was saying stuff like, "Oh man, you're ruining your life, or you're throwing your life away, or you're off the market." It's boneheaded, pig-headed, insecure shit from other toxic mentalities. Coming from places of insecurity, like, "Oh man, you're throwing your life away." Why? What? Why? Because no one loves you enough to fucking marry your ass. And then they projected that on him, and he went, and he's just such a genuine soul. He's just such a nice, good, kind-spirited guy that that really affected him, and that was really, really shitty. And and then here I am just being genuine about it myself, being like, "Dude, I'm happy for you, hell yeah," and I just happened to be like the only person, at least at that point, who had told him that, and that was fucking sad. What a bunch of shitheads, And I guess that's the point of it all, right? Is that we're back to the core concept here, that you never really know how you're affecting somebody just by being yourself or saying something that is natural. This inadvertent, affect that happens as a result of what you have said or done, or just the way of being. So I'm glad that in that moment I was exactly, I had said what he needed to hear, because he did need to hear it, and he should have been told that by all of his friends. He should have been told that by his family. That's what he deserved. He deserved his happiness, and he got it, and he is happy and has been happy for, the amount of time that they have been married. And good. They should be, because they are a good couple, and they are raising an awesome little girl. So there is that. But then there is also the other point here, and it is a good one. And that is, it's all right to cry as a man. It makes me think back to my father being the way he was with me about crying, and he, wasn't, toxic masculinity. It wasn't any of that. It was more like, "Hey, look, Jordan, you're allowed to cry. You should cry. Cry and get it out. That is healthy. But cry either around somebody who is going to still accept you for who you are, and allow you to cry and allow you to be like that without looking at you differently, or cry alone behind closed doors, because the world is a cruel place. And when a man cries, they unfortunately are going to be looked at as weaker. And when you're looked at weaker, you're going to get walked all over. And when you're walked all over, no one's going to respect you, and da-da-da-da-da-da." He taught me the right message and prepared me for the world as it is, both at the same time. And I think that's the real message there, is that, yeah, the world is a cruel place, and it's not going to be accepting. And even though it should be okay for men to cry where and whenever they please, it does become a very the world is a very mean place to people that allow themselves to be themselves, unfortunately, at some points. But I told him in that, I said, "Dude, choke up, cry if you need to. Like, you can do that around me. That's okay. Like, I understand. Men should be able to cry whenever they need to, and around people that they should be able to feel safe around. And you should feel safe around me to be able to do that. That's all right. I choke up from time to time. I cry. We all do. Or at least we all should. It is a healthy means of release. It's our body's way of telling us we need to exasperate that emotion and let it out. Our bodies want to. So I guess the point here is cry if you need to, and if you feel like you can't, then you're probably in the wrong place or around the wrong people. So get yourself around someone who will tell you that you're allowed to do that. And it's a shame that I hadn't already had an interaction with him like that in our lives where he should have known, because when I did finally tell him, like, hey dude, choke up, it's okay, go ahead, cry, like if you want to, he had already stifled it, much like we do. And in a way, it was a shame, but I guess it was that opportunity to tell him that he could. So maybe in the future he will if he needs to, and he knows that he can, cry and release that emotion around me. That it's okay, that he's not going to be judged, and that it's safe and it's healthy. So find someone who will allow you to cry and be yourself around them, and if not, then be that for someone. Or as well, be that for someone. And if you're like me and my friends, where, there's a healthy amount of, a generous amount of joshing each other, making fun and poking fun and all that stuff. Like, what, you gonna cry, little bitch? That kind of thing. And you have those moments like that. That's fine too. And you're allowed to joke, and you're allowed to have that kind of relationship with somebody. And I find that to be very healthy as well, where, busting of one's balls and whatnot. Just make sure that at some point in your friendship with these people that you do let them know that, hey, like, all joking aside, like, you can be that way around me if you need to, if you need someone to come to and you need a shoulder to cry on, basically, like, I'm here for you, man. Because when you allow that seriousness to emerge, then, it makes all the joking all the more fun. Because they can. And I'd like to proclaim this to, anyone that I wind up talking to in the future here, that, if we have one of those moments and, you are touched enough, or you are affected enough, or it rises in you enough to where you start feeling like that needs to happen, you absolutely can. And I've had that in a couple of these conversations already where it did get emotional. And it's bound to, we're talking about real emotions, real things here. We're allowed to be human, because that is one of the most human reactions to anything, is to cry and let out. So, to everyone that I talked to yesterday, or the day before, or whenever the hell, or the day before that, or the day before that, and anyone in the future, you're allowed to be human. Allow yourself to be human. I want you to be. You should be. And moreover, to the person I had conversation 3 with, this most recent one that I've been talking about, and if you are watching and you know who you are, thank you. Well, thank you for a lot. Thank you for allowing me to, speak what I wanted to speak to you. Thank you for opening up to me and telling me about, how you felt about our friendship, because it meant a lot. It meant a lot more than I think I realized it did, to both of us. And thank you for being the person that you always have been, and thank you for continuing to be that. Thank you for sharing a part of your life with me, and thank you for sharing a part of your present and your future with me. And thank you for the escapism, because I think you and I still kept that, little kid in us. That little kid who just wanted to go to a different world and enjoy themselves for a little while. Thanks for enjoying that with me.